Mary Jane is the new Venom. Yay or nay? 3 guesses how we feel.
We take a look back at CrossGen Comics and learn how they ended up in Marvel's vault.
And we discover which issue of Captain America is a Bronze Age sleeper with not only the yellow claw, but scarcity and high grade. Which one could it be? You'll find out the answer to these burning questions and much more on a new episode of Bronze and Modern Gods.
That makes me laugh every time.
I know. You know, I just like, I want some energy. I want us to be pumped up. I want us motivated. Hi, everybody. How you doing? It's John
and Richard.
And it is Bronze and Modern Gods. Let's get right to the news, Richard. Image Comics is sort of stealth announced in their new solicitations that the Spawn universe titles are going up from $2.99 to $3.99. Now, every story I read is saying due to tariffs, and yet I cannot find a source from Image or Todd themselves saying it is because of tariffs. So watch the clickbait, everybody. What do you think about Spawn going up to $3.99? I don't think it's that big a deal because
I mean, it's been $2.99 forever. There are cost of business increases, and $2.99 to $3.99 isn't a big deal. If it was $2.99 to $5.99,
right,
then I would have a big problem with it. But I think this is just an increase that covers the cost of business.
Let's give kudos to Todd. That book started off as a $1.95 book,
mm-hmm.
right? And here we are in 30 years later, and it's only till most recently $2.99. It's only gone up $1. So is the sky falling? There's also lots of I would say, again, clickbaity stuff on Bleeding Cool about tariffs going to effect with books starting on February 14th. Now, you read the article, Rich Johnson. Hi, how are you? I love how Rich says comic book stores can charge whatever they want for new issues. So don't be surprised if your comic book store starts charging you 25% more starting on February 14th. Have you seen anything from any comic book store?
Never. That's just really just conflating the big story in the news, which is the tariffs that happen here in the United States, and comic book sales. There's nothing that links those two together. Sorry.
Well, there's some comics are printed in Canada. And so they're thinking that's going to be added when they start going through customs. However, a lot of Marvel's titles, Marvel specifically, don't know about DC, they're printed here in the States in Pennsylvania. So that's also something that people seem to be missing. I think anyone that tells you they know what's going on is not being 100% honest with you, because nobody knows what's going on. We're recording this on the weekend for Monday morning. Guess what? It might change Monday morning by the time this has been edited and uploaded. So I just say it's like a roller coaster. Just if you are the kind of roller coaster rider that white knuckles it as you're going up the hill, just white knuckle it. If you're the kind of guy that likes to throw his hands up and say, woo, let's enjoy the ride.
Right. And we got to remember, comic books aren't like cars. If they need to switch a printing, they can switch printing at any time to a United States printing company. So there's not that difficulty in being flexible. But I, like John says, we don't know. We really don't know. And it seems to be one of those things that develops and changes on a daily basis. It's why the news is like watching WWE wrestling. You know, it's always something exciting and unfortunately sensational.
Outrage is the way to get clicks and views. So, you know, we there's a reason we start the podcast. It says 100% comics, no drama. We try to stick with it. Again, Monday morning, the market could be rallying big time. We don't know. We don't know what the hot book of the week is, though. And boy, we have thoughts, Richard. Go ahead.
Yeah, hot book this week is unfortunately All-New Venom #5, specifically the surprise 1 per store variant. There are a number of variants. I saw 4 different A, B, C, and D variant covers for this. And this is the one where you actually get to see Mary Jane as Venom. That's the big story break here. Mary Jane becomes Venom. This is a Clayton Crane cover. I wouldn't, we talked about this on the members only show last week. I would not have called this out as Clayton Crane.
First off, hide your wife. Second of all, what a horrible, horrible cover. Sorry, Leighton. You guys, comments. Do you like this cover? Are you feeling it? Let me know. I mean, I'm open-minded. It's obviously not for me. Mary Jane as Venom seems like, talking about bottom feeding and clickbait. This just seems like, you guys, again, we talked about this on the members only last week. It just seems so desperate.
Yeah. And I hate to be petty, but can we talk about that trade dress? It's so generic.
You don't like the Venom logo that looks like it was made in Illustrator in 1994?
I know. It's like they spent as little time as possible. It has nothing that calls out to the character. It's just terrible.
Guys, this is an upbeat, positive comic book podcast. I swear to you. Well, but we have to also tell how we feel. I mean, we can't like everything because then it just becomes fake. As fake as this cover. I don't get it. The head doesn't match the body. I mean, I realize it's supposed to be like Prime from the Ultraverse, where the Venom symbiote is completely enveloping Mary Jane or whoever, but at least proportionize it a little bit.
Right. Well, there are internal shots that I think are better of the Venom symbiote kind of enveloping her, surrounding her. I think that would have probably been a better cover than this thing. This, like you say, this looks pretty much, okay, we got the Venom body. Let's tack on different heads for different variant covers. It has that kind of feel to it.
Also, one per store means one per store per distributor. So several stores that I know of got multiple copies because they go through Penguin and Diamond. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind too. It may not be as scarce as you think it is.
Yeah, it's going for about $40 on eBay. And I think that no, but if you want a copy, just wait a month. I can almost guarantee that it's going to go down to 20. But if you're a big Venom / Mary Jane fan, patience is your best bet with this.
If you're a big Mary Jane and Venom fan, do you like this? Tell us. Tell us in the comments. We want to hear from you, because we obviously don't.
Maybe we're just old farts,
We are absolutely old farts. But it is time for show and tell. When we switch to the screen, what that means. I have a theme for this week. 80s indies. You guys love it when we talk about 80s indies. So I thought
80s indies.
Yeah, I'd pull some second series of DNA Agents. DNA Agents number 11. This is after it was rebooted within issue 1. Mm-hmm. This is the summer fun issue, not quite a bathing suit issue, since all the DNA agents are in full costume, but everyone else around them are in bathing suits. I really like this series, kind of Mark Evaniers' take on the Teen Titans, and obviously the unofficial crossover with the Teen Titans at one point where they were called the Recombinator. Yeah, but very cool. Just I don't think this series gets any love outside of the one Dave Stevens cover that everybody likes with a rainbow. But you like Teen Agents too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed that series back then. It was one of the Eclipse books that I read on a regular basis. I did not read the second series, though. I have to admit that.
Yeah, that was weird. It was a regular Eclipse title, and then they relaunched it as a 95-cent, I think it was bi-weekly title at one point. And that seemed to shed a lot of the readers because the second series only lasted 17 issues compared to the first one. So
yeah, DNA Agents, Elementals, those kinds of indie books are fun.
Very cool. What do you
got? Let's see. Where do I want to start with? I got a bunch of DC books. So, but before we get to that, let's go. I kind of hinted at this. This is Atlas Comics Vicky. You see it's still in the original bag. So give me some slack because it's wrinkly. I haven't rebagged this, but I thought this was this is issue number 1 of the Atlas series. Obviously a ripoff of Archie, and even to the way that the cover is laid out. That's just such a perfect
logo.
Yeah. But no, I came across this at one of the shows that we were at together, and I saw it for $40, but it was 50% off. So
Dude, you got that for $20?
Yes.
What grade is it?
Looking at it, it's probably 7.5.
Everybody give Richard stuff for looking through the bag, for grading through the bag.
I am looking through the bag, but I was looking specifically. There is a line right there.
Press that out. Come on, press that out. Vicky, number 1 through 3 were giant size, the only giant size Atlas titles. Issue 4 went back down to regular size. Issue 4 is the toughest of the 4, maybe one of the toughest Atlas comic books. The magazines are tough, but out of the comics, Vicky 4, I think, is the toughest. And it is actually reprints of a late 60s comic called Tippy Teen that Atlas got the rights to reprint.
Awesome.
Now you know the rest.
I've got it because it's got a woman in a bikini.
We know. It is.
To be predictable.
Right? You read Mystery, right?
Oh, yeah. Love Mystery.
Do you remember Mike Mist Minute Mysteries?
Yeah.
This is a compilation of all the Mike Mist Minute Mysteries. And it's a weird size. Excuse me. See, I don't know if you can tell. It's wider than a regular comic and shorter than a regular comic. So it's almost like this weird golden age size. I'm not sure why they chose it that way, to print it that way, but I saw this and I thought, oh, this is kind of cool.
So it's just a collection of his stories, or?
That's correct. All the one page, they're all one-page mysteries.
Right.
So it's like 32 of them jammed in here, all compilated.
Oh, that's awesome.
Compiled. Did I just use compilated as a word? Compiled. That's it. You notice? Okay. Old man time. Old man. You know, your vocabulary starts getting screwed up the older you get. Like, you make these mistakes like compilated that I would never imagine in my 30s or 40s saying that. Go on.
Oh, we all get old, John.
No.
All right. This is DC went through a series of really cool Batgirl covers. This is Batgirl 25.
Oh,
I have always loved this cover. It is. I can't remember if there's Middleton that's the artist for this, or I have to open it.
That's my first thought. It was Josh Middleton. Yeah. What I like about that cover is look at her skin tone. She looks like a redhead. As a redhead, I can tell you that's what our skin looks like. It's translucent. You can see our organs.
Josh Middleton.
There you go.
His stuff is just great. And like I said, I collected Batgirls of this era mainly because of the covers, because there's just a series of really amazing covers. And this one is probably my favorite.
Look at that gnarly stacking curl on this side.
Yeah, it is pretty bad.
You got to press that out. You see where everyone else is looking at the pretty woman. I'm like, okay, we've talked about this book. Again, it's one of those books, don't know why I have it. Never read it, despite everyone raving about it at the time. Won multiple awards, Eisner's. The art is by Steve Rude. The stories by Mike Barron, who I love on Badger and Punisher, and you would think it's a slam dunk. I just cannot get into Nexus.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Nexus 27 with kind of a Saturday Evening Post riff happening on the cover here. Richard, science fiction, Mike Barron, Steve Rude. Why can we not get into this book?
I don't know.
What's wrong with us?
Just like you, it just never clicked. I would buy an issue here and there, but I would never buy the next month. I kept trying to get back into it. And
I sat there one night. I had, I think, a bootleg digital download of the original series. I tried reading issues 1 through 5. It washed over me like a wave and it was gone. I could not retain anything. I know that he was a executioner of something. Sorry guys. Come at me in the comments because I know people love them some Nexus. I just could not do it.
Yeah. Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I know it's blasphemous. I'm saying it as the words are leaving my mouth. I'm hearing clack 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 clack, clack keyboards. What do you got?
Okay, let's see. What do I want to like I got 3 different books. So we'll pick
Ooh, suspense.
we'll pick this one. This is mainly this is totally a cover book.
Whoa.
It's Dark Knight Death Metal 1.
That's back to the pandemic.
Yeah, doesn't it? Doesn't it? They did, all the big 3 with playing different instruments. The Wonder Woman cover is also a really nice one. But hey, look how much dynamicism is in this cover. How much energy is in this cover. It's not a static kind of thing, and I just love the look of this thing. This is a variant cover. I think this is the 1 in 25 cover for this title. But it's got the minimum trade dress that DC likes to do instead of virgin covers. Just love the looks of this cover.
That was a hot book for a hot minute. I wonder what it sells for now.
Good question. I was going to look that up, but I don't expect it to be very much.
The dedication to preparation that you expect of this show, you get more of it.
Preparation.
You get more of it if you are a member. Believe me, members here, if you join for just $2.99 a month, you get exclusive show and tell episodes on Wednesday, live members only streams on Thursdays, shout outs like this, more new members this week. Thank you all. We love you, each and every one. Helps Richard and I go to more shows, helps us pay for the super expensive StreamYard, which just renewed on April 1st, $800 plus. Holy moly.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear us whine about that. You just want to get more content. Just hit join next to subscribe here on YouTube, or if you're on a podcast platform, go to the link in the description as we pivot to your viewer mail.
You've got mail.
What is your first piece of viewer mail?
My first piece of viewer mail is from friend of the show, Second Best Bob. Bob, who is first best?
You've asked him this before.
I never get an answer.
Yeah, talking about memberships.
Yeah, talking about memberships. I wasn't one of your first 100, but I've got to say it was really good, especially for first episode. I would definitely have subbed.
Oh, it's talking about a reaction video, right?
Right. We did a reaction video for our members of our first episode of the podcast way back when. And then we made it available for everyone to watch. We sat there and watched our first. I totally expected it to be embarrassed because it was going to be so raw. No, I mean, it benefited from John doing his own podcast for work and from his radio experience. So even though it was all new, it still sounded like we knew what we were talking about. So,
it had the opposite effect for me. I was ready to cringe and be like, oh, horrible. But what it made me realize is I spent a lot of time now crafting and editing and adding little things here and there each week. And that first episode was me just hitting record with 0 edits. So that's what you're going to get from now on. You're going to get no covers. I'm not going to spend it. Just kidding. I can't help it.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, we do the show because we enjoy it. 5 years now. We're going on our 6th year of this show, which is just unbelievable.
This is officially year 6 of this episode. So thank you all.
Amazing. Yeah.
Including comics watching. Hi, comics watching. Talking about coloring books, people collecting coloring books now. Similar to my comment about the 40s paint books, I have a single coloring book, Color Your Own Doctor Strange, probably from the past 10 years. Picked it up at an Ollie's for $3, but it does in fact have Ditko art in it. My main reason for having it is for the Ditko, and cover for Marvel feature number 1. I'm sure it's just comics watching is probably just repurposed art from the comics, right? I don't think there was any specific Gene Colan or Steve Ditko art done for that coloring book. Be surprised if there was, but Ditko did do specific coloring book art, like Transformers coloring book, Chuck Norris, I think.
Still, that'd be great to have. I mean, having uncolored Ditko art would be cool.
Right. One thing in the watching of the first episode we did, which you can all see here on YouTube, our reaction, it was where I was complaining about our name. I don't like the name of the podcast. Still can't help it. Talked about how we came up with that name. And Richard, you have a piece of viewer mail about that comment I made.
Yep, from TT. Bronze and Modern Gods for me is a way more interesting title than Gen X Comics. I'm glad you kept it. 15 minutes in and nothing remotely cringy yet. Am I disappointed? That wouldn't be very nice, would it? Yeah, the Gen X Comics is a bit generic. Bronze and Modern Gods, I think it started off as Bronze Gods. A reference to I feel reference to Southern California. It was John and Ross that came that original name.
And if there's one thing I am with my pale Irish skin, it's bronze color.
And then we realized, well, it's going to be more than just Bronze Age comics, because both John and I have some interest in modern comics and even Golden Age comics. So we added the and modern to the title to kind of let people know it was going to be more than just the Bronze Age stuff.
Literally a last second edition, like right before we were recording. I also looked at the thumbnail for the first episode, and just, if you guys ever think that I'm full of myself and I'm a Mr. Know-it-all and I'm a smart butt, trust me, no one is infallible. The thumbnail for our first episode is me, a picture of me holding all my Eternal CGC slabs with dollar signs surrounding me.
Oh, yeah. Also, we did a whole series of those early books with the reaction covers where people like us going like this and books, and
they work, but we look goofy. I can't do it.
Yeah, this isn't. We don't have to maximize our footprint or impact with this series. We're doing it for fun, and we're doing it for the people who are interested in what we have to say, not necessarily people we trick into watching an episode because they see John like this.
Oh, we've tricked plenty of people with that how to press video. That's our back door getting them in here. Enough navel gazing and talking about ourselves. Glenn Simpson, as we call him, the official archivist of this podcast, has weighed in with some corrections from the past couple of weeks. Had another long ride, so I saved all of last week for the ride. Here are my thoughts. Black Cat does indeed still have her bad luck powers. I asked about that.
Okay.
Not every writer gets around to mentioning it, but she appeared in a recent issue of Scarlet Witch, and her bad luck reacted to Wanda's chaos magic rather explosively. Oh, good. That's creative. Mm-hmm. Another element of note about the Freedom Ring, the horrible gay superhero that Robert Kirkman created for a Marvel team-up, is that he basically screws up and dies fighting a supervillain in around his third fight or so. It's true. People at the time were critical of Kirkman for suggesting that a gay superhero would get himself killed so quick. Kirkman reportedly said that he wanted to do a gay superhero, and he wanted to do a superhero that actually got killed early on, and he didn't realize he should do both with the same superhero. Robert Kirkman, we all learn from our mistakes. All is forgiven. Glenn continues, Keith Pollard was also one of the earliest African-American Big Two artists. Yes, we sing the praises of Keith Pollard. We say his name. John mentioned that the legacy numbering is wrong sometimes, Marvel's legacy numbering. My biggest upset is when they established the numbers for Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel. For Captain Marvel, they added up all the Carol Danvers series, including Ms. Marvel Volumes 1 and 2, rather than counting all the original Captain Marvel series, regardless of who was Captain Marvel at the time. Wow. Similarly, the Ms. Marvel legacy number just included the Kamala Khan series. That severely disturbed my organization mentality. And we're going to skip ahead to his last note. Don't make fun of Richard for showing the same book during show and tell. You guys both do it all the time.
Yeah, we like certain books. I'm sorry. And there's only so many books in the collection. But
I mean, 5 years times 52. That's a lot of books we've shown off. Three books times 52.
Yeah. 4 books on the Thursday show.
Math is fun. What's your next piece of your mail?
My next piece is from our bud Evan.
Ooh.
F. Dave. Talking about the Fan Expo here in Cleveland. I had fun at Fan Expo. Kids loved it. Richard, I'm going to drag your ass back out next year. By the way, Rags was there, and so was the artist for Marvel Zombies. Yeah, I this is one of those shows I whine about every year because it's $20 to park, and then it's another $50, and this year was $60 to get in. So you're down $80 as you're walking in the door. And I don't do any of the panels.
It's WonderCon prices, man.
Yeah. Then it's brutal. And that's just for one day. That's just for one day. That was for the Sunday show. It's even more expensive if you do the whole weekend, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I grouse about it. And I've talked to Evan about it. He does it, partly because he wants to make sure that the show stays around. So he pays his money as a something to help continue it. Every year do I get $80 worth of enjoyment looking at vendors that I can go to Neo Comic Con and see for $15? It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell for me. The artists that show up to the show sometime are the saving grace. We saw Jim Shooter there one year. But yeah, it's for me, it's a tough show because it's so expensive, and I just don't get as much out of it as I get out of like going to San Diego. Obviously, San Diego is going to be a bigger show, but going to Baltimore, or like I said, Neo Comic Con, other shows that are about the same size comic wise. I just don't get the same kind of enjoyment. I'm not a big cosplay. I don't need cosplay in my conventions.
You got that great little show in Westlake too that happens every other month.
Yes, so. The Harper shows. Yeah, that is great.
My last piece of viewer mail comes from our buddy Peter Eddy, who says, "Loved the first episode watch party. That was a lot of fun. One of the reasons I love your shows is the comic book shop feeling of camaraderie. No show emphasizes that more than the Thursday show and tell with a guest member. If you haven't seen that, you got to join us and show off your books. It's nice to see you guys discuss everything from music to the state of the hobby. Music. All right. So I've been listening to KTP again. Remember KTP? Certain Things Are Likely.
No, I don't know.
Watch Richard. The gears are grinding. I'll play it for you later. I know John said booths at WonderCon seem slow. I don't know how things are going at CGC, but I know CBCS's business must be doing well because all of my submissions the last 6 months are running past their turnaround times.
Wow.
Either they laid off a bunch of people or more people are using their service. Don't know, Peter. My oldest submission was still with them with the free signature verification books from last year. They just went into grading this week, almost 4 months from when I sent them in. Well, they were offering free SIG verification, so they probably got swamped. Keep doing what you guys do. I look forward to my Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays when your videos come out. Signed, Peter Eddy. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for writing in. Thanks for your co-signing the members only streams. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Richard, you got a segue. You've been doing so well the last few weeks.
Oh boy, no, I have nothing.
And that is Richard's finally crafted improv segue to a 25-year rule. What were you going to say to defend yourself?
What we lack in preparation, we make up in enthusiasm.
Exactly. 25-year rule is the rule that you want to reacquire your childhood. It usually kicks in 25 years after it happened. Not sure why my speech impediment kicked in just then. We go back to the year 2000. Richard, we have never talked about, in the 5+ years of this podcast, CrossGen Comics.
Never.
Are you familiar with CrossGen Comics and what they
am not? This is an indie title or
published? CrossGen launched in 1998. They were this is one of the very first books they put out. It's called Mystic #1. Look, Richard, right up your alley. They're known for their high production values, the diversity in genres they did, a tightly interconnected universe. At its peak, it did fantasy, sci-fi, superhero titles. And here's the thing about CrossGen. They didn't use freelancers. you had to move to Florida and you were salaried and you went into the office 9 to 5 with a lunch and you wrote your books or you drew your books, you punched a clock, you went home.
Wow.
Kind of revolutionary. I believe George Perez, did he actually move to Florida? I know he worked with them. I don't remember if he actually made the move to Florida. But people like Mark Wade, Ron Mars, they all packed up, went down south, and worked for CrossGen. This Mystic was by Ron Mars and Brandon Peterson. It followed Giselle Villard, an unlikely magic user caught in a power struggle between rival mystical guilds. It is one of the flagship titles that helped define CrossGen's unique shared universe, ran for 43 issues before CrossGen went bankrupt in 2004. And that's when Disney acquired their assets, including Mystic. And then Disney acquired Marvel in 2009, as we all remember. And that means the CrossGen library officially came under Marvel's umbrella. Right? After years of being out of print, Mystic was released as an omnibus from Marvel last September. Who knew?
Who asked for?
Who asked for it? Who knew? Now, issue 1 sells for about $5 on eBay. However, issue 15 of this title, strangely enough, is the key. Why is Mystic number 15 the key, you ask? Well, it sells for about $10 because some consider it the first appearance of Harry Potter in comic books. There is a scene where Mystic goes into a bar and all these other magicians are there. Like someone that looks like Doctor Strange is there, et cetera, and Harry Potter is one of the people.
Yeah, I figured like that.
So it's unofficial, but you guys remember CrossGen? They had their fans. I was not one of them. It seemed impenetrable to me when I sampled them, much like Nexus. Any fans out there? Let us know in the comments if you were digging the CrossGen books. Richard, you were gone.
I was gone. Yeah, this wasn't anything I read. You know, speaking of books, like did you like Saga? Did you read Saga?
I've never read Saga. Come at me, everybody. I know
I haven't either, so I can't talk. I read part of the first issue, and it just didn't catch my interest.
Where do you guys find time to read comics? I do want to talk about that. Maybe in a members only episode, but we're even here. Where do you guys find time? I work and then I'm on the couch zombie. I try to read before I go to bed, but then as soon as I hit the bed, I'm zoning out.
Frankly, me, it's Sunday afternoon. I have a period of time where I don't have any obligations, and I'll just sit there and typically pull up the iPad and read them off the iPad as opposed to the paper comic. But yeah, that's when I usually do it.
So what Richard is telling you and everyone else here, John, is that he has time to edit the podcast on Sunday afternoons. Give you a break. Thanks, Richard.
Oh, no problem. I'll happen. I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to edit it, and then you'll go, I just need a couple little changes here.
This is horrible. What are you doing? Underrated books of the week, as you see our 6th year off to a start as we fracture. Richard, what is your your only underrated book this week?
Yeah, this is a little bit weird. It's called Skeleton Knight in Another World. It's a manga, and I've recommended another manga last year or year before, I can't remember when, called Skeleton Warrior, which is available on the web. You can read all 295 chapters of it. It's actually a long series, and it's really, I find them very interesting. Well, this one is similar to Skeleton Warrior. It's something, it reminds me of the audiobook and physical book genre called progression fantasy, or also lit RPG, and basically where you are living in a world, a video game world that has a rule set, and you have powers that level up and all that. This is kind of like that. The main character Ark, that's skeleton guy there on the cover, he wakes up and finds himself in his RPG character from his video game, and the last skin that he picked happened to be a skeleton skin, and so he is stuck in this suit of armor with as a skeleton, and he has a series of adventures, and he has to hide his identity because people will think he's a monster and react negatively. And he builds relationships with people, and he has this companion that follows him with him, and little pet you see there on his shoulder. Um, it was popular enough that there in 2022 there was an anime launched that you can watch actually on eBay. The first all the episodes of, I think there were 10.
You mean on YouTube?
What did I say?
eBay.
Oh, sorry. YouTube. Yes, YouTube. I actually have
Don't tell me eBay is going to be a streaming service. Man.
Is everything else? Why not? I have a link to that. You can watch the episodes. It was just in December of last year announced that the second season will be launching. Like I said, I'm a big fan of this style of comic books. I listen to audiobooks absolutely, literally every day. And my audiobooks that I listen to are one of 7 or 8 different series of lit RPGs. These, Dungeon Crawler Carl, which if you haven't read or listened to, more importantly, because the people who do it as an audiobook are fantastic. It's a great audiobook series, especially if you travel a lot, because you'll get, there's a lot of a library there. He Who Fights with Monsters is another good one. So I'm really a fan of this genre. So this comic book is right up my alley. So the comic book is available as a manga. It's not actually a comic, it's a manga, but it's available on the web too. You can go and read it on the web, which is how I'm doing it, because I prefer my iPad as a reading device because I have bad eyes. I have 60-year-old eyes, and plus the backlit screen means I can sit in bed while my wife is sleeping and be able to read. So I prefer that. The manga is available on there's 10 issues or 10 of books on in the series for the first. You can get those 10 books, $10 a piece. It's not expensive. If you get them all, you'll probably get a discount on them. But like I said, I prefer the digital versions of them. But it's an easy entry to manga. I've read that the translations are sometimes a little rough from Japanese to English. The way you read the book is different because the word bubbles you read from right to left. So there's some adjustment. But some of these Japanese mangas can be inscrutable. I mean, I don't know if it's a cultural difference or just the way that the books are written. They at least for me require you to kind of separate yourself from the logical flow of a book that you've learned how to read over the past gazillion years of your life, and just be open to a more fluid way of reading. But this is pretty standard in terms of how to follow the story. I think it's a good one.
All right. This is not a free idea. So if someone steals this, I will sue you. Fantasy, sci-fi, comic book related audio book podcast, whatever app that rewards the listener for going to certain places and doing certain actions while listening to the audiobook. So say you're listening to your audiobook and you go fill up your gas tank. That's one of the rewards. Bing. And then you unlock additional bonus episodes for doing these actions. Mm-hmm. Then your local LCS can sponsor the app and have you come in there, or, it's using your phone's location data to send stuff back. So you go to your LCS and you get bing, you unlock another episode.
Yeah, that's interesting. But what happens to the people who don't have the ability to go to a certain location? Will they just never be able to have access to that episode?
My underrated book this week is Captain America 167. Why is this the underrated book of the week for me? It features, the Yellow Claw. See him there in the background with Suhan there, a little tiny, right there. There he is. Whoop, whoop, that's Cap. There's the Yellow Claw. It's also part of the big buildup to the Secret Empire storyline that was coming up. It dives into Cap defending S.H.I.E.L.D. for the 1,000,000th time. But here's why. You guys know I talk Captain America a lot. I don't show a lot of Captain America books on the podcast, though, do I?
You show your fair share. Not
That's-
overly, not overly, but you definitely do.
Well, I find, and this is 100% anecdotal, I've got no data, I've got no tracking on this. Issue 167 is one of the hardest books of this Bronze Age run to get in high grade. And so I went and looked. There are only 13 9.8s on the CGC census,
Huh.
compared to 22 9.8s for the issue before and 21 for the issue after. So you've got like a baseline, boom, 13, back up to the baseline. The last sale, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, is it that black cover? Or is that the
Black cover?
Hmm.
But there are other issues like in the 150s that have a black border that are picture frame issues that are just as they're just as black around all the edges, but they have more 9.8s. So I don't know if this issue had damages when it was coming off the printer or something. The last GPA sale for a CGC 9.8 was last month for $219. I am also showing this off because I have it in the original bag where I bought it. Okay. $1.50.
So what grade would you say that is?
I haven't pressed it or cleaned it yet. I think after a press and a clean, this is, 9.4-ish.
No,
Not
make
9.8.
fun of John grading a book through the bag.
I took it out before the show to do the research because I knew you were going to ask that question. I did. It's got a little bend here. It's got some non-color spine ticks that'll come out. Guys, if Captain America collectors, tell me, am I nuts? 167 seems to be just a weird anomaly in this run. Let me know what you guys think, because it could be just, the same guy that mispronounces words like compilation.
Compilation is pronounced correctly.
Yeah. What did I say? Instead of compiled, I said compiled or something like that.
Yeah. It's your brain.
Guys, members, I am traveling this week. So unfortunately, after all that buildup about joining, there will not be a members only episode on Wednesday. We're going to try to do the Thursday live stream. We'll keep you posted. Otherwise, we will catch everyone else here next Monday.
Everybody, stay safe.